the way.
We're wanted men.
I have spoken.
Welcome to episode 212 of the Smugglers Galaxy podcast, your favorite Star Wars podcast for smugglers in the galaxy. It's Glenn, and we got Jason back this week. Jason's here. Yay.
I always go into a panic because you start the show with so much energy, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm even capable of matching that.
I gotta fake it, fake it till you make it, right?
I guess, yeah.
How you doing, Jason?
I'm here. I'm doing well.
You're doing well. Missed you last week.
Yeah, you guys had fun out back.
Yeah. I'm
Good
sure
for you.
everybody loved the crickets or cicadas or whatever they are.
Cricket.
I think
So
they're
how
crickets.
was your 2 weeks?
Kind of busy. I got a new job
Yeah.
finally. So I've been in out of town training for the last week, and I don't know how people can do the not working, I'm out of town all the time type traveling for work, because it
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. It's a specific breed of people that can do that. When I
Right.
first started with my job, they had me bouncing around to all the different offices, and then COVID, and I was getting exhausted, and COVID came, and I was kind of like happy that I'd just be not traveling for a little bit. Little did I know how long that would be, but yeah, it's a special breed of people that travel for a living.
Right. And then it's like, what else are you going to do? So you end up working like 12-hour days because you have nothing else to do besides go to a hotel room. And then when you have time in the hotel room, you're like laying down watching TV at 8:30 and in bed by 9.
Yeah.
So hopefully I've only got another week of that, I hope. And then I'll be out of town for a week. So it'll be fun. Should be an interesting couple of months for me.
Mhm.
But other than that, I've been home all weekend. I've had 3-day weekends. So with the weather and me putting in so many hours, they were like, you're going to have your 40 by Thursday, so just go home. I was like, I'm not going to argue with that. And it's the same setup
Nice.
next week. So yeah, 4-day weeks, 3-day weekends. And then I'll be on a cruise or on vacation for a week and a half. So
Nice.
yay. Looking forward to it. It's scary because I pull up the app on Disney and it's like 14 days and it does not seem real because of everything going on. As far as me being gone for work,
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, fun. How about your 2 weeks? You've had a fun weekend, right? Or
Yeah.
fun last weekend. I want to hear about that. I don't know when you want to get into it.
I can get into it now.
Let's do it.
So I don't know I don't even know where to start the story. I guess in 1974, my dad played for Central College, which is a college in Pella, Iowa.
Uh-huh.
And that is the same Pella as the Pella Windows. That's where Pella's Window Home Corporation is. It's a small town with just Pella Windows and Central College. But yeah, in 1974, when he played on their football team, they did go to the national championship, and they did win the national championship, Division III football. Interestingly enough, they played in Phoenix City, Alabama, which is right across the border from Columbus, Georgia.
Huh.
So I didn't realize that. So the next time I'm down that way, I might swing by the stadium just to see it, just to see where magic happened.
All right.
But yeah, 1974, 50 years ago, they had a reunion for all of those football players to come back and to hang out, and they wanted someone to represent my dad, who passed away in 2010. So myself, my son Harrison, and my daughter Josie, my mom, and my sister Kim, we all drove from Georgia to Knoxville where my sister is, picked her up. Then we drove up to Kentucky, and to take a break, we stopped at Buffalo Trace and we got some whiskey, of
I
course.
saw that. Was it just a certain one that you wanted and you couldn't get that day?
Yeah, there's a rotation. There's Eagle Rare, there's Blanton's, and they don't always have everything out on the shelf. It's just dependent on the day, and some days it's just there's no rhyme or reason. It's just today let's put this out. Today let's put this out. And they had Eagle Rare out when I was there, but they didn't have Blanton's. And so from Buffalo Trace, we drove up to West Lafayette, Indiana, so Harrison could check out Purdue. We did a college tour, and it was on that way that Anthony Pagano was like, "Hey, if you're still by, they're selling Blanton's, and Blanton's is the really good whiskey.
Uh-huh.
It's been aged longer. It's been sitting in the barrel. It's got all the heat, so the evaporation happens, and it just gets really, really good." And I was long gone by the time we drove by, or by the time that was available. So but yeah, we checked out Purdue, which is a good school. I was surprised to know how many people that I know actually went to Purdue.
Hey, Drew Brees went to Purdue.
Yep. He was in the introduction video. So they sit you down and you get to see a 30-minute video, and he was one of the featured players, I would say, of that video, giving
Nice.
messages.
So you want to go to Purdue?
I think Neil Armstrong went there.
Wow.
So they've got this whole, I mean, they're a pilot school too. So a lot of pilots
nice.
go through there, and Neil Armstrong was a pilot before he was an astronaut.
Right. Well, most of them were, weren't they?
Yeah. It was pretty much a requisite. And then from there, we drove to Iowa, which was another 6 hours. So it was like a 12-hour trip to Iowa, to Pella. And it was good. Met a lot of people that I've never met before. Obviously, like there was a couple names that I did recognize that I know my dad said at some point, "This is so and so." And
Did you meet Broccoli Rob?
no, I didn't meet Broccoli Rob, but I did meet Harry Smith from the Today Show and CBS Mornings.
Oh, nice.
But the second day, Saturday, that's when we went to a Central College football game. I don't even remember the team they were playing. It was another like, oh, that's a school kind of team. And they were losing. It was not a good game. It felt a lot like high school, just the way the stadium was set up. Like, it was not what I'm used to with SEC or even Syracuse University, which the dome can handle like 45,000 people.
Oh, wow.
This is like a high school. Actually, I think some of our high schools were a little bit bigger than the stands here. Anyways, at halftime, they brought all the players out from the 1974 team, and they lined them up, and they introduced everyone. And myself, Harrison, and Josie, my son and daughter, we all went out. I did bring my dad's jersey. They passed out polos for all the players.
Uh-huh.
And then they passed me the polo, and they're like, "You wear it for your dad." I'm like, "Okay." But then a couple people were like, "What position did you play?" I'm like, "I'm 44. You guys are like 70. So I'm not that old."
It's the gray hair. They're just like, "Sonny."
Yes, I'm gray hair, but
boy.
I'm not wrinkling and sagging like some of these gents.
Hey,
but
buddy.
it gets worse. It gets worse because then they start going alphabetically down the line and introducing people. And like, "This is so and so from this state, and this is so and so from this state," and they get, "And Jason Wasolko from Atlanta," and I'm sitting there like, "Yeah, that's me, but I'm here for Paul, my dad." And then they go, then there was a pregnant pause, and they go, "For Paul Wasolko and his family," and it was just very awkward the way they did that. But we were there to represent him, and then there was a dinner afterwards with Harry Smith moderating. Harry Smith, again, the Today Show, CBS Mornings. He did graduate from Central College. He graduated in 1973, so a year before they actually won, so he doesn't have the title. But when I did meet him, he did say that, and I mean, he played with my dad for 1 year, but he did say that he did remember my dad and that I looked like him and sounded like him. And
well, that's awesome.
Flattering. Yeah. And so that was nice. And then, and the other cool thing that happened was that Josie, my youngest, she was 6 months old when my father passed away. She's got no memories of him. But during this trip, she did say that she did say that she felt a connection to him. Like there was something there for her to connect to now because she did this. So
that's awesome.
If anything, the trip was worth it just for her.
Right.
because it's like I'll never see these people again. It was nice. We had a good time. My mom got to see the college that she went to, Central College. Um, but if only for Josie, then it was worth it. But
Right.
then there was a 3 hour trip we made before coming home. We went from Pella to Dyersville, Iowa, where they filmed Field of Dreams. So we had to cut through dirt roads and back roads to get to the highway to take us to where they filmed Field of Dreams. And pulling up from there, it was, I mean, I grew up loving Field of Dreams. It's one of my favorite non-Star Wars movies.
Mhm.
And it just turning into the place and seeing it there, it was kind of like walking into a dream all of a sudden, because there's the White House, there's the baseball diamond, there's the corn. I mean, it was all there, and it was pretty special. I did find out later on that immediately after filming after filming, they did plow over the baseball diamond, and the owners of the place immediately regretted it and they rebuilt it.
No.
But like the stands are still there. There was a famous scene in the stands where they would just sit in the stands and watch the players, and people would be like, "What are you looking at?" And
Mhm.
they're like, "We're watching the players," and nobody can see it except for the family, Kevin Costner and his family that lives there. Josie recreated. We showed it to the kids before we left. Harrison
So
and Josie, they'd never seen it before. I'm like, if you guys are going to this place, you should have some
you
context for it.
right. You need to experience it. Right.
And Josie posed for a photo of her like choking on hot dogs on the back of the bleachers, like the
Uh-huh.
daughter does in the movie. But I mean, just knowing like Kevin Costner was there, James Earl Jones was there, Ray Liotta. I mean, we've lost Ray Liotta and James Earl Jones, and we went out to the fields and we walked through it, which was pretty magical. Um, and it was an emotional experience for me because again, it's a movie about, yes, it's about giving baseball players the opportunity to play baseball once again, but in the end, it's really, and that's the twist of the movie, it's about repairing relationships with fathers and sons, and going the distance to make things right, and easing the pain between each other. And so, here I am doing this whole trip for my father, and then I'm in this baseball diamond that reminds me of, it's like a father-son moment. So it was very emotional for me. And then we came home.
Awesome.
We stopped at a bunch of Walmarts along the way. 20 minutes before Pella, there was a Walmart. Somebody had to use the bathroom, so we stopped. It was like an emergency. I can't wait 20 minutes kind of situation. I'm
Yeah.
like, there's a Walmart. Let's go.
Oh
And
no, look, there's a
uh,
Walmart.
and I was like, we're out in the middle of nowhere. There's a good chance that nobody's ever picked over anything in Star Wars. Like this could be the dream. This is the golden Walmart. And we pull in and they go to the bathroom and I go to the toys, and it's just those Genevex starfighters. And there was about 20, 30 of them hanging out. And that was it. I'm like, come on. This is the opposite of the dream Walmart. This is not what I'm
Right.
looking for.
Doggone it.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff, a lot of the micro galaxy stuff was picked over. The 5 POA thing that they have in Walmart, the one
Right.
that's got like the cartoon looking card back, those are just clogging up store shelves. Those are what makes me worried about the health of Star Wars, because if nobody's buying that, if the younger generation's not buying that, then it's just not a healthy hobby.
Right. So when they is the back to the Field of Dreams thing, that's not
Yeah.
where they host the baseball game, is it?
Yeah,
It's
there's a
not.
second field.
Uh-huh.
Um, so from where they filmed it, you can see the lights. There's a second field. They are doing repairs. They're going to be doing more camps. They're expanding it, and I didn't think they were going to do more Major League Baseball games, but they are. So I think it returns in 2026.
Okay. Cool. Now I do kind of envy. It is cool when you go to something and you're able to see where stuff was filmed, especially a movie that hits like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't think that there's a lot of that stuff left anymore. People don't tend to
No,
save it like they
no.
do. So that's very cool. You're able to see that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 35-year-old movie, and the owners had enough awareness to, I mean, after they demolished the baseball diamond. They were like, no, that was a mistake. Let's rebuild it. And so they built it in the exact same place. It looks just like the baseball diamond. It's in the exact same orientation, same place, everything. So they had the foresight to do that. I saw this week that the high school for Stranger Things is getting torn down.
Really?
Yeah. And so it just goes to show, like, once something's done, they'll just take it down. The mall, I believe, is coming down from Stranger Things.
I told my
So
story about the mall, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So to have, yeah, troublemaker. To
Yeah.
have that place standing for 35 years in pristine condition, looking just like it did in the movie, is pretty special.
Right. Yeah, well, that mall's been set for demolishment anyway for Stranger Things. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. No, I'm happy you did it because I know when you first mentioned it a few months ago, you were kind of like, I don't think I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, it just seemed like a lot of driving for very little return, I guess. Like, yeah, I can go. There was a moment where it was like Luke on Dagobah. I don't know, something very familiar about this, because the last time I was at Central College, I was 5 years old,
Uh-huh.
and there was parts of it where I'm like, I don't remember this, but I remember this.
Right.
It was weird. It was like, I don't know, something like a dream. It's just exactly like Luke was describing it. See how I bring it back to Star Wars? But that's what it felt like.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's awesome. I'm glad you did it because I have a feeling that in a year or two you would have regretted not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of I was kind of hoping that they kind of not roll the red carpet out for you guys, but roll like the blue carpet or be like, hey, we'll fly you up or whatever. But I guess
Oh.
if they were doing it for everybody,
No, I mean, we got free dinners and meals, and
mm,
so we didn't. The only thing we had to do was drive and get a hotel room.
okay.
But it was this town that was founded by the Dutch, so there was a lot of like Dutch influence. There's windmills, there's tulip festivals, there's
Do
a
they have
Dutch
wooden shoes?
bakery. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
They had wooden shoes there that you could buy. They even had like slippers that looked like wooden shoes if you didn't want to wear the wooden shoes.
Mhm.
But there was a bakery that reminded me exactly of like a Dutch bakery that you might find at Epcot, because everything was Dutch, and
Of course, it always goes back to
it was cool. It was a lot of fun, and
right.
yeah.
Well, no, I'm laughing because it's like we compare like going to foreign lands. It's like we'll just go to Epcot and get it,
Mm,
see the world through Epcot's eyes, through Disney's eyes.
yeah.
So do you well, no, that's awesome. I'm trying to think how to get back on track now, but no, I'm glad you went. It's a cool story, man. And it's memories you have with your kids because that's something they'll remember in 20 years and be like, hey,
Yeah.
you remember that time we went to Field of Dreams and you cried and I have it
Yeah.
on video.
I didn't cry at this one. I even did a tribute to James Earl Jones. I pulled up the movie and I held my phone out in front of another phone so you could see where he walked into the fields, and it was really special.
That's awesome. That's not real corn, right?
Yeah, it's real corn.
Oh, wow.
And they
Wow.
even say, like, we can't guarantee the status of the corn when you arrive,
Uh-huh.
but it was perfect season for. I mean, we're in late September. It's getting close to harvest, so all the corn was in prime condition.
Oh, that's nice. Do they charge to go there?
Now, there was a suggested donation of $20, which we gave because it was
Right.
like this movie meant a lot to me, so I want to make sure that the upkeep is there and that we do our part. So,
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I know I see a lot of people like with the Back to the Future stuff. If you catch the guy on the right day, they'll invite you onto the lawn and stuff. And they've gotten to the point where it's just like it's gonna happen. So come on, you're being cool. So come take a picture.
yeah, like a 501 owns the property now, so it's not in private hands
Okay,
for Field of Dreams, unlike the Back to the Future house.
right, where it's still everything's still private, and I think all that stuff was pretty much shot on the same street or
Yeah.
pretty close to each other, so you can knock it out pretty quick. But yeah, do you get anything fun this
I,
week?
I
Non
did.
non Toylanta, non Joelanta, because we'll talk Joelanta here in a minute.
I did. I did see that the Cobb Vanth vintage collection figure has been hitting the Walmarts across Kentucky and Indiana and Iowa, but I didn't pick it up because I couldn't guarantee the condition of the card when I got home. So I skipped anything on the trip. But the Mandalorian and Blurg from the vintage collection arrived.
Nice.
Um, I also got and this was today, I got the assassin droid and the what's the robot droid from the Mandalorian? The one that I'm drawing a blank right now, and I'm sorry. The Dark Troopers, sorry.
The Dark Trooper?
Yeah, he has an individual card now.
Oh, nice.
And then when I was
Card
at
or a box? Or no, you're
card,
talking
the vintage
PVC.
collection. Yeah. He came in a box with the little half closet.
Yeah.
And now this is just him on a card.
Gotcha.
And then I did go to Target this week because they had the mini boxes for Micro Galaxy Squadron
Uh-huh.
for $250. Remember they were $19 at one point?
Right.
Now they're on clearance for
What?
$250 each. So I
Wow.
bought a box and I got a lot of the little Geonosians on the speeder. I got the speeder bike with a clone trooper on it from Attack of the Clones. I got 3 of the battle droids and the stat vehicles. I got 3 of these. And I also got freaking 4 of the rares, not the chase, of the clone troopers, the green
Wow.
ones. So I know it's like here's 2 more, but it could have been the same one for all you guys know.
Are you sure there's 2 more? You didn't just pick up 2 of them? And
Let me see if I can hold all 4 on camera right now. So you didn't think that was a magic trick. Oh, 4
wow, look at you
chases.
go, Jason.
But I didn't even get there's was it an ATRT or something like that with a clone trooper? I didn't get that one. That one's a regular one. And I really don't want to buy any more chases or any more blind boxes just to find that one. So I'm just going to let that be.
Right. Well, maybe you can trade some in one of the groups.
But the other thing, non-Joelanta that I picked up, I pre-ordered the Series 5 box from Jazzwares.
Okay.
I think I'm just going to open the ones that I have and keep the new ones in the box, assuming that they all arrive and there's no weird things going on. I also got that V19 Torrent pre-order, which comes with additional weathering. It's got painted cockpit, and it's a really nice box. It's a little bit different than the regular release of it.
Okay.
But it said when you went to go check out, it says back this project, which makes people think that Jazzwares is getting into the crowdfunding business.
Right.
Which I'm not sure I want to get into a third crowdfunding thing or second crowdfunding thing. I'm already in it with Hasbro.
Right. Oh,
The nice
geez.
thing would be with Jazzwares, I'm sure it'd be more affordable.
Right. I wonder. Yeah, I've seen that on the chats, but I haven't paid attention to it. That everybody's freaking out, but I'm so used to people just freaking out over nothing that I don't pay attention to it anymore when people freak out.
That's the smart thing to do. They also have Halo. They've got AEW figures, wrestling figures. So I mean, that could be crowdfunding. Could be anything. They could be crowdfunding some Halo vehicle. They could be crowdfunding some special ring for their wrestling figures. It doesn't necessarily mean Star Wars, but.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe a sail barge would probably be something that they would have to make at a bigger scale. We've got 2. I got notification that the 2 skiffs are on their way. So, there's nothing surrounding the skiff. So maybe we can put a sail barge there for $150. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I've seen the skiff. I haven't seen the 2-pack, but I've seen the skiffs in Walmart. I've seen the Cobb Vance in Walmart, but I haven't picked anything. I'm holding back because I'm gonna be making some big purchases soon, so I'm kind of chilling.
Yeah, I just finished up a big purchase. This is not here yet, but it should be on its way.
Cool.
I'll get to that later.
Yeah.
At a later date, not
on
later
a later
today.
date. Awesome. Yeah, I haven't picked anything up. No, I haven't. I'm thinking, and it hasn't. I picked a bunch up at Joelanta, which I was kind of surprised that I picked up that much stuff at Joelanta.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it was a good day. Oh, I did. So last week, did I show you that was it with you that I told? Yeah, I did talk about my Chopper and Sabine coming in with messed up cards, right?
You told me to. Yeah, you told us about that, and then you complained to Hasbro.
So I complained to Hasbro, and that same day I got an email saying, well, send us pictures. So I sent them pictures. I didn't hear anything for 2 weeks. So I called them this week. I called them Tuesday, Wednesday, I called them, and today they showed up, and they're like, we'll send you another one. And I was like, it would have, and I even put, because they sent me an email saying, how was your experience? I'm like, it would have been great if I didn't have to call you guys after sending several emails, and not getting a reply. But I get home and they were sitting on the front porch, and of course, with all the rain, the outside box is just destroyed. And I'm just like, crap, they're going to be another messed up box. But thankfully, nothing happened. Both cards look great. The outer box looks great. I think I messed up and opened the damaged cards where I probably should have opened the better cards, but the figures are pretty awesome. That Sabine is a great looking Sabine.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 pristine carded
Nice.
figures. So now I guess I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do with the Ghost Crew, if I'm gonna keep them carded or not.
Yeah.
So
The other non-Star Wars thing that I picked up this week, during the hurricane, while
Yeah.
people were focused on the hurricane, there was it emovieposters.com auction.
Yeah.
And so nobody was paying attention to that. My wife wants to get some different kind of posters for our living room, which we call the Disney room. There's a lot of Disney stuff. And
Yeah.
we did get for $42 Peter Pan poster, but it's like the tall, thin ones that you would find in the theater. We got that for $40 because, like I said, no one was paying attention. And then there was a theatrical Rocketeer poster. My love for Rocketeer.
Right.
And I started bidding it up, and I'm like, wait a minute, I haven't done any research on this poster. I don't know how much it's worth, and it was worth $500 on eBay. So that made me feel a little bit more comfortable, and I won that for like $100 or something like that. So those will be in the mail in the next couple of weeks.
Sweet. Hopefully they don't charge you an insane buyer's premium or shipping charge.
I hope not, but I guess we'll see.
All right.
If they do, it's the last time I order from them.
Right.
I understand a buyer's premium, but for shipping would be just outrageous.
It's outrageous.
But I do have some news.
Let's hear it.
Jesse was kind enough to let us know that his Dragonfly is shipping, which was a HasLab that finished up right before the Ghost. Somebody allegedly wrote to Hasbro and complained about that, and Hasbro came back and said, there's no date yet, but you can expect it in December. So
For the Ghost?
Yeah, for the Ghost. So it's going to be the later end of fall 2024.
That's because now everybody's freaking out because apparently there's a strike getting ready to happen on some of the ports. So everybody's like, oh my God, we got to get stock up again. And hopefully that doesn't affect things or nothing happens with that. Of some kind of port strike.
Yeah. Yeah, let's focus on the right thing, guys. I didn't get my toys. Who cares about fair wages and pay? It's the same thing, I guess. Fair wages and hours. We want our toys.
I do want my toys that I've been waiting years for.
Meanwhile, the guy at the dock can't pay his kids to go to college or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, latest rumor is that the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will be the last chapter of the Mandalorian story. That's the rumor, and that the rumor is that he'll appear in future content, which suggests that there won't be a sequel to the movie or a season 4. He'll just appear in Ahsoka or whatever is down the road.
I would really like to see a season 4 before the movie or after the movie, but I just think there's more story to be told there. But I also know that the way they're doing Star Wars, like you said, they can tell the story in Ahsoka or whatever.
Yeah. Here's another weird one. According to Production Weekly, which is a movie production publication, they said that there's a project in the works called Star Wars Pirates. And they only report on live action. So this isn't an animated thing. But who knows? Maybe that's the production for the production cover name for Mandalorian and Grogu.
Mm. It would make sense.
Kind of like how they did with Blue Harvest to kind of get people off their trail. But even if that was the case, you would want to make sure you take Star Wars out of the title.
Right.
Because that's just going to make people rabid.
Yeah, I mean that's what with all the filming they do here, there's always weird names for movies to keep
Yeah.
people off.
Um, there's another rumor that the Ray movie, there's a lot of rumors, but it's worth talking about. The Ray movie has been delayed.
Aw,
So apparently you were looking forward to that movie.
kind of was not.
They haven't filmed anything. You don't even know what it's about. How can you quickly dismiss something without knowing anything about the project?
Well, I guess I wasn't excited. I don't know. I wasn't. I enjoyed the sequels, but I don't know.
We don't need to see more of the sequels.
I don't need to see any more of that. I mean, I'm happy with what they gave us
I
and be
did a
done
quick
with it.
survey on the Georgia Alliance. It's not scientific or anything like that, but I was curious about what people's favorite Disney Star Wars movie was,
Yes.
and overwhelmingly, people said Rogue One was their favorite.
Well, that's just because we had an awesome event called Rogue Fun, and that's in people's minds.
No, it's because it's a good movie. Where did the poll go? Oh, here it is. Yeah, 73% of the people who participated, there were 72 votes. They said that Rogue One was their favorite. 12% said Solo, followed by 9% The Last Jedi, a 5% or The Force Awakens, and some crazy loon said Rise of Skywalker at 1%.
Uh-oh. Well, that could be the one guy that, you take a survey for something and they're like, what's four
Someone's got to
questions
give
are
it
obvious
love.
and five is wrong?
Someone's got to love that one. It's all by
Right.
itself. No one's loving it. I got to vote for that.
Yeah.
Uh, According to an interview with Donald Glover, the Lando project is still moving forward.
Right. That's
So
awesome.
maybe it's just the director. They need a new director. The old one has decided to walk away or is told we don't need your services anymore. But in the background, Donald Glover's still writing it.
Cool. I want to
And
see what he does. I mean, he's, if you watched Atlanta, his mind is a very weird place, and it's fun that he shares it with us.
I liked how he focused it. He said, I think the best part about him, Lando, is that he's a scoundrel. I feel like people can relate to that. And he's probably like, man, this war is whack. I need money, which everyone can relate to. I want to bring fun to Star Wars. I just want it to be fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do that. Bring fun to Star Wars. Make it
Yes,
fun.
let's do it. Star Wars should be fun. I mean, it's a fun place. I want to get just forget everything for 2 hours.
Yeah. Um, we don't normally talk about Lego, but I guess we got to talk about this one. The sail barge is coming. It'll be 33 inches long, 13 minifigures. One of those will include Hut Slayer Leia, which is interesting because the rumor for the longest time was that they couldn't make any females that are in distress. But I'm thinking because in this scene, she's not chained. She's actually the one that kills Jabba. It's an empowerment thing.
Right.
Maybe that's the reason why they're allowing this one to fly through.
Hmm.
But it will cost you $500.
It's gonna be an impressive set, dude.
Legos are expensive. I'll just keep the HasLab one that I got, and I'll just be happy.
Yeah. No, dude, I love my Legos, but $500 for, I mean, I paid like, I think 180 for the DeLorean, and that's an incredible piece.
Yeah. Yeah, I never got into Legos just because they're so expensive, and I want the Cantina.
The
Like I
Cantina
want,
Lego, that Cantina
yeah,
Lego, Skippy had it set up at her house, and it's a cool looking. It rivals Narayan's custom
yeah,
Cantina.
it's nice.
It's pretty.
Leading up to Hasbro PulseCon from a couple weeks ago, Steve Evans, Mr. Steve, was teasing three colors on his Instagram: yellow, a blue, a tan.
Uh-huh.
Which Tony Harmon pointed this out. It's the colors of the Max Rebo band. But nothing ever came from it from Hasbro PulseCon. So I just wanted to mention it because I forgot to mention it the last week that I was on the show.
Mhm.
But yeah, nothing came of it, and there's no word if Max Rebo's coming in the retro collection or vintage collection or what. Or Black Series.
Right, and I keep thinking, well, they need him for the Cantina. No, they need him for the sail barge.
Sail barge, Jabba's palace playset.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, they are focusing on Tatooine or back to Tatooine, so it makes sense if they did
Returned.
that.
Yeah. Return to Tatooine. Let's go back there because every other Skywalker's gone there. So why don't we all just go?
What is it with Tatooine? Why does everybody want to go back there?
Maybe it's what do they call it? Vortex of the Force. I don't know.
Right. Did you speaking while we're on Legos, did you see the new Lego setup?
No, I haven't watched that yet. The show?
Oh,
You're talking about the show?
the show, yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. The what if?
It's worth 2 hours. I mean, it's kind of there's some good like fan service and it's fun. You should watch it. No spoilers yet.
All right, I'll
I
check
know
it
Ted
out.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I listened to that episode, so
Yeah, I had messaged him because he's a Lobot guy, and there's a Jedi Lobot in it, and I was just like, Ted, you have to watch it for Lobot, and he's in it for like 2 minutes.
that's funny. Hasbro is considering a move from Pawtucket, Rhode Island to Boston.
Boston.
Yeah, according to reports, executives are touring several office spaces in the area. Just to remind everyone that Hasbro was founded 100 years ago in Providence, Rhode Island. If they move out of that warehouse, I don't think they're going to be moving everything in the basement. So we should all go raid it. Maybe they got
Right.
some micro machine art in the basement. Let's go grab it.
Yes, let's go.
But yeah, I mean, screw to the tradition. Let's move to Boston.
Boston.
And then there's an article that I read, and I'm sorry, I'm summarizing it. I don't have it in front of me, but the CFO was talking about how the company's moving forward and it's looking forward to expanding into digital gaming.
Uh-huh.
They want to diversify, and I think the article said, I think it was with Forbes or Wall Street Journal, but it was like they wanted something like in the next 3 years to make 50% of their business digital games. Which would make sense since the younger generations aren't playing with toys anymore.
Right.
And we keep saying this over and over again. And this is just further evidence that suggests to me that, the toy industry is dying as we know it. The plastic toys are going away. It's the adults that are making this stuff. So, stop saying it's for 6-year-olds. It's for the 45-year-olds, the 50-year-olds, the 55-year-olds that buy the toys still. So start catering to them. Don't cater to the kids.
Yeah. We want the toys.
We want the toys. We want to play with our toys.
Right.
Look, here's a B-Wing. I'm playing with my B-Wing. Zoom, zoom,
Hey,
zoom.
look. Here's an X-Wing.
Yeah, see, we're all playing with our toys and we're old men. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Stop
Hold on.
catering to the kids.
Here's a TIE fighter.
Yeah. That's what you should do. Disney Plus is launching a live channel. Did you hear about that?
No.
There'll be 4 channels that you could just open up Disney Plus and then tune into the channel and just watch what's on. They'll pick the programming for you.
That's what stinks about streaming. I mean, because it's always on demand, and I miss kind of just flipping through channels and, whoa, look, The Office is on, and you catch it like halfway through an episode.
So one of these channels will be Hits and Heroes, which will play Marvel and Star Wars content. It'll be on 24 hours, 7 days a week, that kind of thing. And if you're wondering, there'll be a throwback channel, which is pop culture and nostalgia. A real life channel, which will be the docs and biopics. Sorry. That's probably like the National Geographic channel.
Right.
And then there'll be a Hollow Stream channel for seasonal content. So like right now they'd be playing Halloween stuff, Nightmare Before Christmas, Halloween Town, and Hocus Pocus. But come towards Christmas time, they'll be playing Home Alone and what else does Disney have for Christmas? The Muppets Christmas Carol and Prep and Landing. That's the other one that I really like that Disney did.
Awesome. Yeah.
So that might be the only way. The idea is to put old content back in the spotlight again, because you've watched Book of Boba Fett, you might not go back to it. But if it's on this channel and you're watching it, the chances are that you'll watch the show again.
Yeah.
Because chances are, I don't know how many times it's the chances, but we're not going to go back and watch Book of Boba Fett anytime soon. We've had enough of those speeder chases.
Come on, man, let's go.
No, I'm not going to go. but that's the idea, and so you'll be able to tune into that.
I mean, I support the idea. Let's see what happens. I mean, like you said, it's a good way to say, hey, Book of Boba Fett's on, or hey, Willow, we're gonna do a Willow marathon.
Willow's not even on Disney Plus anymore. They
I
can't do a
know, but it's a
marathon.
good way that they could play it if they wanted to.
Maybe the movie. I'd watch the movie again. I'd watch the movie 12 times before I watch the show one more time.
Yeah, you know, I realized something watching all these shows. They do like an 8-episode arc or 8 episodes, and I get really frustrated when they leave it open like they did with Acolyte. So
Yeah.
they leave open like 3 or 4. They never tie anything up. So they leave it open and are just like, hey, we may do another season, but you just watched 8 episodes, spent 8 hours of your life, and nothing's resolved.
Yeah.
And it's getting very frustrating. So I can see where people's frustration with these shows are coming from, because it is annoying when you watch something and it's never tied up. It just feels like you could have gone without watching it and been just fine.
Yeah. They really have to start following the Star Wars A New Hope methodology of making content, because at the end, the heroes won, the Death Star blew up. It's the end of the movie. The threat is gone.
Right.
We do see Darth Vader get knocked out into space, but for all intents and purposes, it's the end of the movie. If we never see it again, we'll just wonder what happened to Darth Vader, but we know that the heroes won.
Right.
There was
I mean,
no like
go ahead.
there's no like hook at the end with Darth Vader just going, I'm gonna get those guys or something like that.
Yeah.
The original He-Man movie had Skeletor falling down that pit, and then the after credits scene is that you see him come out of the pit and say something like, I'll be back, and he never came back.
Yeah, I mean, and like you were saying with Darth Vader just flying off, it was like one piece of the puzzle, and they tied everything else up.
Yeah.
So we need to get back into better writing, I guess. Even though I said I really enjoy crappy TV, or I guess I enjoy crappy TV. I'm getting tired of it.
Michael Arndt, who's the original writer for the Force Awakens or whatever movie he was working on before the Force Awakens, was talking about how Star Wars is the perfect climax because everything like gets wrapped up in 30 seconds. Han completes his emotional arc. Luke goes into the Force and does that and blows up the Death Star using the Force, and so he's finally a believer. So he was just talking. It's a great movie. So if you guys haven't watched Star Wars, I highly recommend that you guys watch Star Wars.
What is Star Wars?
Yeah.
I never understood why they could take like a 16-year-old and say, here's $1 billion jet, go fly it. 18, whatever. Some kid that has no experience flying this thing, go attack the Death Star, man. Here you go.
Well, the way they sold that in the movie was that it's no different than flying the T-16 Skyhopper through the Beggar's Canyon back home.
Right. I could do some womp wats. Hit
It's
a
the
womp
exact
rat.
same thing. I used to do this. Oh, okay, I believe him. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Just to follow up on the Muppet 3D Vision Monstropolis thing, it looks like Animation Courtyard, where the launch bay is going to be moved, and that's where Monstropolis is going to be, because a lot of the executives in the administrative building behind launch bay has been told that you're going to be moving.
Yeah.
So for now, Muppet Vision 3D is safe, but I don't really think Muppet Vision 3D will last another 20 years.
No, not the way they're replacing stuff.
So they'll be on the chopping block eventually, which is sad because, like I said before, that's Jim Henson's last project that he worked on before he passed away. So,
yeah, it stinks, but at the same time, I think Disney has always said that they're going to keep updating stuff. So,
yeah.
If it doesn't work, or if people aren't going to it, why are they going to keep it open?
I don't know. There's a there's a rumor on YouTube, which don't add a lot of credence to, and I said there was going to be a lot of rumors. You want to say something? It looked like you're approaching the microphone to say something.
I was going to say something, but I decided not to because it was political, so I'm just going to shut up.
Yeah, once you get through the political ads, maybe you can see something on Hasbro on the rumor side. It said that Hasbro is looking to get out of its Star Wars contract. They say they're tired of diminishing sales. Like I said, this is just a rumor, but it doesn't sound like designer talk. This sounds more like executive talk. The brand is just expensive. It's not selling well. So why are we bothering taking this over? So there's a chance, and who knows, that the next 4 years might be the last couple of years of Star Wars with Hasbro. But I'm trying to think of like what the future might be for Star Wars. And Mondo has been making 1/6 scale action figures for like the $150, $270 price range, in that range.
Uh-huh.
They announced an animated Spider-Man vinyl figure that they're making. There's some brand new Masters of the Universe stuff. So they're making already Hasbro stuff and Mattel stuff, because Masters of the Universe is Mattel. They're making Ariel Monsters, Batman the Animated Series, X-Men. So they got this new Ghostbusters, where you get a Ghostbuster from the real Ghostbusters. He's 6 inches. He looks just like the 3.75 that Kenner made. It comes with a ghost of some sort, so some villain that they fought on the show. It's a 2-pack for $200. So I'm thinking like they could do a vintage Kenner figure, maybe a 2-pack, maybe just the figure itself, 6 inches. It might come with hinge elbows and knees. They add a little bit more articulation, but for all intents and purposes, it's the exact same figure that we got at 3.75 in 1978.
Yeah. I personally, I would rather see like Fig Arts pick up the figure, the license in the States, because I think the Fig Arts are in the $50 to $75 range. And I think that's more doable, and it's like I think it's in between a 3 3/4 and 7 and 6 inch scale. I know I'm gonna get yelled at for that. But they're a lot more detailed
I
for
think,
the
yeah.
money.
Yeah, I think it
Versus,
is 6 inch, because the reason they can't sell in the United States is because Hasbro has the exclusivity for the 6 inch scale in the
okay.
United States. So I think if like maybe if the action figures went away at
Mhm.
Hasbro, they wouldn't make that exclusive anymore. So Figure Arts can start selling in the US, and then Mondo can start making 3.75 figures that are 6 inches in scale.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Right. Well,
I'm just
I'm not happy with a $200 price point, because then I
yeah,
think that would really, in my mind, really kill the line, Star
yeah.
Wars. But I mean, people may be drawn to it. It may, I, I said it, we said it about a year ago. I think Star Wars needs to do one of two things. It either needs to lower the price or just say, forget it, and charge an absorbent amount, but give a highly detailed figure. But I think $200 is overpriced.
Well, looking into the crystal ball, if that rumor is true, I could see something like that. It's either Mattel would take it over,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know if Mattel would want to, or they would start selling it off to the boutique kind of designers like Mondo.
Right.
I don't
But
know.
and I'm also thinking like the stuff we saw today at Toylanta, at Joelanta, and the stuff we're starting to see from custom figure people. They had some 3 3/4 figures for $40 that I thought were really cool, but it's like $40 for a 3 3/4 figure. I mean, I
Yeah.
know you're producing it yourself, but that's up to me. That's a lot of money for a small figure.
Well, there's just a lack of creativity from Hasbro. I don't know if they're locked into the contract to only making 3.75. I don't know if they're afraid of branching out, because I mean, look what I was just saying before about the 5 POA figures that are just hanging out. I mean, there was like 100, 150 hanging out at one Walmart, not being touched or moved.
Right.
They didn't have much TVC, and they didn't. Oh, I got to tell you my Lando story
Oh,
when we're
yes,
done.
yes.
They
Well,
didn't have TVC, and they didn't have Black Series and Micro Galaxy Squadron, but they had 150 of those 5 POA figures.
and those 5 POA figures, I think I paid like 15, $16 for the Sabine. And she's a good looking figure, but it's a $10 figure, not a
Yeah,
$15, $16 figure.
yeah.
And I think that's the price. I think that's what the issue is with those figures. Because if you're buying it, they're kind of, in my opinion, they're aimed for like an 8, 9 year old. I'm not spending $10 on one figure for my 9 year old. I would rather, especially like the Star Wars figure. I mean, she's a great looking figure, but that's a lot of money for a 9 year old toy, especially when you consider they're going to want 3 or 4 of them. So you buy 4 or 5 of them, you're at $50, maybe $100, and they're just little figures that they're going to lose. So I think personally, those figures are overpriced in my opinion. So that may be why they're still sitting on the shelf.
Paul's son Hyung Lee, who plays Carson Teva, was recently on the Sackhoff show, and he was talking about how much action figures meant to him growing up.
Yeah.
When he got into it, he was little, and then all of his parents gave things to the kids, and when he went to college, his parents gave everything to kids in the neighborhood, so he never saw those again. But when he started getting a little bit of the acting money, he started buying figures again. And so he's very passionate, and he's just one of us, and he loves Star Wars collecting. He loves action figures. To date, Carson Teva only has a mini bus from Gentle Giant, and he's got the Black Series helmet, which is essentially just a repaint. It was a cheap way for them to do the Carson Teva stuff. The Mandalorian Judge only has 3 lines of dialogue, and he's already got an action figure. Carson Teva is the hero. He's navigating bureaucracy. He's turning a blind eye when our heroes need it. Instead of bringing them in, he turns his head and says, "Go do your business that's illegal, but I know in the end it's going to be saving the galaxy." Come on, Hasbro. Let's start diversifying your offerings and give us something more than Mandalorians, please. Get this guy a figure. He was in Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a figure.
And it'd be an easy repaint. I mean, I understand the Mandalorians are very simple repaints. And that Judge figure, just because I really dig when they piece together a suit like that, a Mandalorian suit. I'm going to find that figure just because. But yeah, I mean, Carson Teva, it's a face sculpt, man. It's a simple head sculpt. And you put him on a Porkins body. You're done.
Which they don't have, but then they can make Porkins.
Right. Or, I mean, truthfully, you could put him on one of the thinner, I guess you could put him on one of the thinner bodies and just say, oh well, he lost some weight or something, because, because they did that with Dave Filoni, and they did that with, Jon Favreau. Well, both of those, huh?
Yeah. But they can do a new body and use the same arms and legs. They don't need to do a whole new figure.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing that. They did that with the girl from Andor. They just put male legs on her, and people were griping about that. And I'm like, I mean, I can understand you griping, but you're getting a new figure for,
At least it's not the same head.
Right. At least it's a different head, and her head sculpt looks pretty decent. But yeah, you're right. All you got to do is put a new torso on, and you could reuse the arms and legs. I didn't think about that.
Deidre Merrow, is that her name?
I don't know, the blonde.
Yeah. The last thing I have, and we can get into Joelanta, we were talking about how the Stormtrooper helmet doesn't fit my head.
Yes.
And we got a comment, Mulja5076 on YouTube says, "Have you tried the TK twist to get the Stormtrooper helmet on? A proper TK helm has to be put on sideways and then rotated to the front."
Yes.
I've never tried that, so I'll have to try that.
You didn't know that? I
didn't know
forgot
that, no.
about that too. I'll have to get my Black Series. I think my Black Series helmet still too. Yeah, if you're right, you have to turn it. You put it on sideways and then turn it forward. But it's been a minute since I've tried that Black Series helmet.
I would start freaking out if it got stuck in my head. I can't get it off. I can't get it off. It's claustrophobic for him.
Just make sure you take your glasses off. Hey, I learned, speaking of being claustrophobic, I learned a very important lesson this week.
And that is?
If your car has the, push button locks, like the push button start and the automatic locks where you walk up to it and it'll unlock and you hit the buttons. And anyway, especially if you have a Hyundai Tucson and you open your back gate.
We're getting oddly specific here for no reason.
Yes, since I have a Hyundai Tucson, which I guess it would work with any car where you can open your back gate without unlocking your doors. Don't open your back gate, throw your car keys in the car, and close the door thinking that you're going to be able to open the front door. It doesn't work that way.
Noted.
Because I did that. I was at Walmart on Thursday. I had just driven back up. So I had just put in like 2 hours on the road with driving rains, basically driving through a hurricane to get home. I swing by Walmart to pick up a couple of things. I open the trunk, throw my stuff in it. And I went, I wonder if that's going to be okay. Close it. And then go to unlock my door, and my door doesn't unlock. And then you can't unlock, I couldn't unlock the hatch because I didn't have the key on the proper side. But thankfully I looked down and I had my Apple Watch. I didn't have, and my phone too was in the car, but I had my Apple Watch, and thankfully I was able to call Hyundai and have them unlock my door.
Thankfully.
Other than that, I have to call my wife and wait around for like a half an hour at Walmart twiddling my thumbs. So do not open your hatch make sure you unlock your doors before you open your hatch and throw your keys in it.
And that's the same Hyundai that you drove over to my place so that we can go to Joelanta together, right?
Yes.
And then we drove to Joelanta.
Yes.
And then what were your thoughts of Joelanta?
Look at you always bringing it back. But you drove to Joelanta.
I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it back.
Okay, so this is, I think it's the second or third Joelanta since they've separated the shows between Toylanta, because I just feel we have to say this every time we bring up Joelanta. Joelanta is a staple in Atlanta. It's been around for 20, 30 years. I know I've been going to it for 10 or 15 years. And when it was started off as a G.I. Joe show, and then more toy lines came in, and then then they changed the name to Toylanta to incorporate all the toy lines. And then the Joe guys got mad and we want our show back. So they separated the shows and made Joelanta more of a Joe-centric show. But now in the past, since they separated it, I think the other toy lines are coming in again. So it has become a hybrid show, I guess, where there's a lot more toy lines in it. It's more than just Joe's. I don't think I saw but maybe 1 or 2 Joe vendors there, which surprised me. Now that I think about it, there wasn't many Joe vendors there.
No.
And so this year they sold it. Buddy, the guy that's owned it forever, sold it to Brent. I believe his name's Brett. And Brett moved it. One of the main complaints I've had about Toylanta because they had it at the Marriott. They had it at the same hotel forever, and then they moved it from they tried moving it a couple of different times. And in those hotels, you had to hunt for vendors. So instead of it being in like one big room or you walking down the hall and you could see other rooms, there were offshoots. You'd have to go around a corner and there was a room, or it was just a very odd setup. And so what Brett did is he moved it to the Gwinnett Arena and Conference Center. The conference center up there, which it's all in one big glorious room. And it was, to me, it's the start of something beautiful. And from what I was told, Toylanta should be about 3 times the size of Joelanta.
Yeah.
And that's going to be beautiful. And having that as a hometown show is going to be awesome. I was concerned. I'm just going to start from scratch. And I think you've got the same complaint. There's 3 or 4 different venues in that area, and the signage, there was no signage of where to go. So there was like a Disney on Ice thing at the main arena, and we had gone, I thought we could just drive from, it didn't really matter which entrance you went into. You can get where you needed to go. And we had gotten there and you were just like, we're going to Joe Fest and Joelanta. And the guy was just like, oh yeah, go park. And I'm like, wait a minute, Jason, before we pay, because it was like $10 or $12, $10 or $15 to park for the Princess Disney on Ice. And we were just like, hey, we're trying to go to the G.I. Joe show. And they're like, oh, you're in the wrong spot. And then they're like, well, you need to go back on the main road. If they told us a couple of different things. And then when we got to the front where we had pulled in, the guy was like, no, you need to go back on the road and go to the red light. And it's the first red light and then deck one. And when we finally did that, that took what, 10 or 15 minutes to figure that out. And then when we finally did that, we get out of the parking deck and I'm like, okay, there's a hotel. There's another building over here to the right of the hotel. And then there's another building to the left of the hotel. There's no signage. Thankfully, I knew to start looking for people with backpacks. And they're like, it's got to be this hotel or this spot on the left. And when we walked in there still wasn't a lot of signage, but there were some people at the front desk that were just like, oh, you look like nerds. It's over here.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering if because it's such a small show that the convention center won't let them put signage out, but even just like lawn signs that said Joelanta, Toylanta, this way, or whatever the case may be,
Right.
pointing people.
Yeah, I that's all you need is arrows.
Yeah.
Toys with an arrow.
That's fixable. Like I have no complaints about the show. I thought
Right. That's my only complaint about the show is that.
Yeah.
But
I
go
thought
ahead.
it was great. It was a nice little show. It reminded me of, like just a one-room Toylanta.
Yeah.
And to know now it's going to be 3 rooms, it's going to be huge and massive. Like, bring it on. This is what Atlanta deserves. And I've been saying this quietly for a while, that we live in a big city. We live in Atlanta. We need a definitive toy show. We need the one that you go to. And Toylanta has kind of been like, we're in this hotel and you got to go over there. And it's like, we can move hotels. This is Toylanta and Joelanta putting their feet on the ground and saying, this is us. Come here now. We've got a definitive giant space. We are the toy convention of the area.
Yeah. And when we say one room, I mean, this room was huge. They probably had 100 vendors in there. I don't 100's probably not even as being very conservative. But it was a football field. I mean, it was huge. Compared to what we're used to. I mean, if you guys go to Joe Fest in Augusta, it was probably half the size or of that room for Joe Fest. I mean, it took us an hour or 2 hours to walk it, which is what I mean, now granted, we were doing a lot of talking. But and it wasn't as compact as Joe Fest is. Joe Fest, I think, is very compact, but the quality of the vendors was top notch. I thought it was a good mix of toys. I've bought the most, that's the most stuff I've bought in a long time from a toy show today. And it was just stuff that I'd seen that I was like, stuff that I'd seen that I wanted, that I've been looking for, and it was at a good price. And it felt like some certain people were making deals and some people weren't. But I mean, there was a DT Vader. When's the last time you've seen a DT Vader at a show?
Never.
And that's like $25,000.
Yeah.
You don't see that quality of a show. And then that same booth and in like a little glass case, he had, Narayan thinks they were Blue Harvest of the AT-AT driver, but it had like 4 or 5 heads of an AT-AT driver. So we don't know if they were first shots. We don't know what they were. And I meant to ask, and I never had the opportunity to ask the guy what it was. He had that, 25,000 DT Vader, had that set, which I'm sure was several $1,000s. He had 2 blue snags that were the cleanest blue snags I've seen in a really long time. So those were probably, huh?
They were minty, yeah.
They were there was not a scuff on the boots. They were probably, I would guess, $1,000 a piece because they were just that minty. And he had a very clean Dignitary, Imperial Dignitary /17. So I would guess he had $40,000 in that, just a little 12 by 12 case.
Yeah.
So that was the quality of stuff that was at this show.
Great quality and great people.
Yeah. Everybody was friendly. I was a little concerned because I'm used to shows where you walk and there's a line. and I didn't see a line at first thing, when doors opened. So I was a little concerned about that. But we left, it started getting busy. We left, what, 12:30?
Yeah.
And
12. Yeah, 12:30.
and it was starting to fill up. I'm hoping this show could get over the Joelanta moniker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because if they're gonna bring it like this every year, it's worth going to. And I think it was $25 for the weekend to get in
Yeah.
for Saturday, Sunday. And if it wasn't an hour from my house and I wasn't going to the Saints game tomorrow, I'd probably go back just to go back. Because
Shannon was making fun of me because of the Southern goodbye. Like the Irish goodbye is just dipping and leaving.
yes.
Southern goodbye is people like talking to you as you walk to the car. You're there, saying goodbye to them in the hall. You're saying goodbye to them as you walk to the car. You're saying goodbye to them as they're in the car driving away with you. And that's kind of how it felt because there's just so many people coming in at the same time. And of course, I want to talk to them, but at the same time, it's trying to get out.
You had to get to IKEA.
I had to get to IKEA.
Yeah, no, it was because Narayan messaged us and he was just like, "Do you guys leave?" And like a half an hour after we were left, and we're like, "Yeah,
sorry, that's my fault. Sorry, Narayan.
Oh, it's all good." Jason had to get to IKEA. But no, go ahead.
What did you pick up?
So I picked up a bunch. I was really happy with my pickups today. So I picked up one of the old school R2D2 toy boxes. That I've kind of been wanting one for a minute, and somebody had one for 80 and I offered him 50 and we met at 65 because it's a beater. It's definitely a beater. It's missing it's missing its wheels, and I think it's missing it there. I don't know if the wheel, for some reason, I think there's a cage or something that goes around it, but, or handle, some kind of handle on it, but I don't think, I may be misremembering that, but I know there's casters that go on the bottom of it that's missing that I'm sure I can find some modern casters to put on it. And the stickers, I mean, I'm more than happy because paying that because it was a $200 to $300 piece if it's complete. Of course, hey, guess what else I picked up, Jason? I picked up a Mythic Legion. Imagine that.
You picked up Mythic Legion.
I picked up a skeleton, and it
Speaking
was
of
just
$40 6-inch figures.
Yes, exactly. I'm more than happy to pay that for those figures because they're great looking figures. And then I picked up a Rex and an Ezra, which I just happened to be walking by a bin on the floor and I saw Ezra sticking out, and I'm trying to pick those up. The Ghost Crew, Rebels carded figures just because they're cheap right now. And then I picked up a Rex, and I get home, and I picked up the Rex and the Ezra, and I go to put it in my case, and that's my third Rex that I have. So I don't think I need Rex anymore.
Until you have another senior moment. Oh, look, Rex, I'm going to pick that up.
And I have a Sabine, so I didn't need the Sabine because you had said you'd seen Sabine earlier.
There is,
but I didn't have Ezra, so I could sell some of those a couple of those Rexes and make some money back.
There is a variant with that Ezra in the packaging. There's one with the helmet on and one with the helmet off.
Right, and this one had the helmet on.
So I don't remember which one's rare, but
yeah. I don't care. I pick them up when I find them, and I know there's some rare because I know Thrawn was going. I know Chopper's expensive. Chopper was like $50-$60 at one point.
Yeah.
In the packaging, and I found that when I was in Chicago. I was at the Disney store in Chicago. I was like, I'll have that, thank you. And it was like $12. But and then I picked up the Sabine Black Series helmet, which I kind of beat around the bush about it, and then because it was about $10 cheaper than retail, and I tried getting them down to $100, and he was just like, dude, it's already cheaper than retail.
Yeah.
So then he charged me taxes, which brought it right back up to retail. But still I'd have to, so I saved probably $10 or $15 on that. But it's a cool helmet. It's a little bit narrower than the Boba Fett helmet, but it still is an awesome looking helmet. I know it's just the Bo-Katan repaint, but I've been wanting a Sabine helmet for a few years, and just having that in my hands, in my grubby little hands, is awesome.
The whole reason we went to Joelanta, and I had no intention of going, but somebody made a print available. It's a print called Wretched Hive. It's by Shag, who's an artist from Palm Springs, and he does a lot of like 1950s space agey, but it's like, I don't know, how do you describe that style? It's like 1950s, like
It's tiki.
it's
I,
tiki-ish, but it's not. It's like the
right.
50s.
Yeah.
Very
50s tiki.
geometric,
Yeah.
and he's highly collectible, and people like it. In, I don't know, about 10 years ago, he did a print on the Cantina, and it's Shag. A lot of his stuff is screen printed, but there are other things, and this was a canvas print, which is right here on the shelf.
Look at there it is.
It's a thin print, but the colors just pop. There's a lot of the aliens in there. It's a phenomenal piece, and that's the whole reason why I decided to go, is because if you were to ask me, is there one print that I want more than anything else, and it would be that Shag print right there. So
Dang.
I'm excited to have that, and I'm going to find a great place on the wall over here to put that up and make it the center focal point of the wall, because I think that deserves it. That is my favorite Cantina piece that I own.
Yeah. That I love that size of art, especially when on I've learned not to buy that size in a print. You've got to buy it in a canvas because they're a pain in the ass to find a frame for.
Yeah, it's a box canvas, and it's already got nails in it, or hooks in it on the back. So I can
Okay.
just hang it up right now, but I think eventually I might want to get it framed just to elevate it even more.
Yeah, dude, look on Amazon. I found
Yeah.
frames for like $50 that you just screw the canvas into.
Okay.
And it pops, because I did that on my Sabine, and it makes it pop that much. It just puts just enough of a pop to it and makes it look a little bit more professional. And I think I'm going to get one for a couple of other canvases I got. So you can probably find it for cheaper than that. I think I paid $50, and this was a 20 by 30.
Yeah.
So look on Amazon for canvas frames, and they're fairly cheap.
But that's my week. Bump.
But I mean, all in all, I mean, I was very excited about Joelanta. I'm hoping the vendors did good. I know it's going to be a show that's going to take a year or two, I think, or maybe less. If Toyland is a success, then people is going to realize that, oh, there's a smaller show in winter, in the fall, that we can go to and see some really awesome stuff, because he did have Heroes of the Animal Kingdom, Warriors of the Animal Kingdom, Action Force was there, Savage Crucible, and then there was another figure. There was a couple other manufacturers that were there that were showing their wares.
Yeah.
And I really like that. I'm trying. It's one of those things where I think Mythic Legions and Cosmic Legions has my thoughts right now. But I enjoy looking at that kind of stuff. Just to see what's out there and to see what people have done.
Yeah.
Just with different thoughts. And no, I enjoyed it. I was highly surprised at the quality, like I said, and the room was awesome, because it's like, that's what, like you said, this is what Atlanta's needed, and we just need to get that show some love, and it'll be awesome.
Very excited about Toylanta.
Yes. Was there one thing you saw there that was just like, wow, other than that DT Vader?
The DT Vader was the one that really stood out. There's a lot of great stuff, but nothing really wow. I mean, when I had my heart set on this piece, so nothing was going to take my eyes off. This was the belle of the ball right there.
You're gonna be the belle of the ball. I
This,
saw that Office the other day.
yeah, that Shag piece really is just my heart set on that. So anything else was not that good. I do think that I am gonna set the goal in Toylanta to find a really nice Cantina playset from Kenner.
Uh-huh.
I think I want to find one of those in a really nice condition. Bonus if it's got the box with it. I think I want to display it in the box, but I could probably be convinced to have the box behind the playset. But I do think I want to put that on the shelf somewhere behind me.
Yeah, you need that. I had one a few years ago
Yeah.
that I got for a good price, and then I flipped it because it was one of those I just bought because I wanted to spend money.
Yeah. Well, with that, anything else?
I think that wraps it up. Just I know Toylanta's sometime in March in Gwinnett, so be
Is
looking
it the
for it.
22nd, 24th, 25th, I think, or 23rd, something like that?
Yeah, we might have a club table there. I'm gonna try.
Hopefully.
We'll see what
Hopefully.
happens, and we might be doing a panel. We don't know.
Hopefully.
Yeah, well, you need to get on that, Jason.
The panel?
If we're gonna do a panel.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Smugglers Galaxy podcast. If you could, please leave a like and a 5-star review of the show anywhere you listen to podcasts. Really helps us out and points people to our show. You can follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Send us an email or message us. We love feedback and we love to make you part of the show. Our email address is smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com. Thank you to Alfonso Riviera for the Smugglers Galaxy logo. And thank you to Levi Waterhouse for the music. People, collect for the love of it. Hashtag vote with your wallet. Puffer pigs make for horrible bacon strips. Pass on what you've learned. Be a positive force in the collecting community. You betcha. This is the way.
Don't you know? This is the way.
I had 2 you betchas. I was keeping count of how many you betchas.
Yeah, I can always tell my in-laws are from, or my mother-in-laws from Minnesota, and every now and again, Mandy's just like, "Yeah, don't you know?
You betcha.
You betcha."